All right, I know today's got lots and lots of video. At least you're not having to make it. I'm the guy that's got to make it, so getting tired, got to wake up here. All right, number 4 is kind of fun. If you've ever been the person that has struggled to remember people's names and their faces, this is how you do it. Now, in a book that I highly recommend, it's called Moonwalking with Einstein. The author, his name is Joshua Foer, F-O-E-R. Essentially was a journalist that had to cover the World Memory Championships. So he flew out there essentially planning on creating a story about these superhuman freaks that can remember anything and everything. But what he found is what I found, that these are normal people that have learned a few basic tricks on how to use the memory palace and how to use the major system, which we learned in the last video, to remember things like images and numbers and all sorts of stuff. And place those images in these spaces in their brain. And he realized that anybody could do this. Well, the fun thing is he began training, and over the course of a year, he became quite a good memory expert, and he won the USA Memory Championships, which is pretty cool. In his book, he talks about a principle called the Baker principle. Now, this is how you remember names, you guys. If you've ever struggled with names, this is what you do. It's the Baker principle. So if I tell you to remember a guy whose last name is Baker, you're probably going to forget it because that's just a last name that means nothing to you. And you'll meet him, you'll say, "Hi, Mr. Baker," and then 5 seconds later, it's gone, and you realize, oh crap, I forgot this guy's name. Now I'm going to look like a fool when I call him "Hey, sir," or "Hey, you," and you really would prefer to remember his name. The other way to do this is to imagine him as a baker. Put an image to his name, okay? So instead of just remembering Mr. Baker, when he says, "My name is Mr. Baker," what you need to do is in your mind's eye, you need to envision him with a big white weird hat, covered in flour, holding some bread, and I want you to smell the bread and just how good it smells and how warm it feels. It just makes the room feel amazing and beautiful. And I mean, who doesn't like artisan bread, right? Now, every time you see this guy, I want you to envision him in that hat holding those pans of bread and see his face as you kind of embed in your brain the fact that he is a baker making bread. Now, every time you see him going forward, you are much more likely to remember his last name, which is Mr. Baker. So again, taking whatever the name is and instead of having it be some random piece of information, convert it into a piece of information you're already familiar with that you can kind of inject your own senses and feeling into. Now let's try this with me. So I haven't thought of this in the past at all. You can do this on the fly. My name is Eddie Hood, E-D-D-Y-H-O-O-D. So how could you remember my name and my face? Well, so Eddie is, if you think about a stream, an eddy is a small kind of whirlpool where the water kind of gathers and starts spinning around in circles, okay? Because of the way that the banks are shaped. So you can remember a stream when you look at me, and you can remember this water kind of spinning around. Now my last name is quite a bit easier, Hood. I get all sorts of comments about my last name, Hood, okay? Whether it's Robin Hood or Gangster in the Hood or whatever it is. So let's actually go with the Hood, like as in, the tough parts of a city like Brooklyn or whatever. And let's just imagine like this kind of gangster area. And so if you close your mind's eye and you can imagine me standing in the hood, my face in the hood, okay? And all of a sudden, this big river flows through the hood, and the hood starts spinning in circles because it gets caught in an eddy, and it slowly starts to sink into the river. That's a little bit more elaborate, okay? But every time you see me, you should have a better time of remembering Eddie Hood. You can do that in multiple different ways. You could use Robin Hood in some way, shape, or form, or whatever you wanted to do, like the hood on a hoodie. Lots of different things you could do with my name. But that is an example. So going forward, you have no excuse for forgetting people's names. And it's interesting because let's pretend you're a teacher and you've got 30 people's names to remember. You could put those names in alphabetical order. You could create a really strong image for each one of them and then put them in your memory palace. And that way, if you were calling out roll, you could literally, you wouldn't need the paper, you could just do it by memory. And as you do it, you could see this person's face and their name and the image associated with it. And as you saw them in your class, you would instantly know that this is Johnny Baker. You know his face, you know his name, and that's a really cool thing. Thanks, guys. I hope you enjoyed this. Don't forget to read the rest of the post. and I would love to hear your comments. I've put some references down below from some of the sources that I've pulled this information from. I highly suggest digging into them so that you can learn more about how to improve your memory if you want to. There is just so much out there. I've literally touched the tip of the iceberg with this, and I'm a little worried, to be honest, because I've now gotten addicted to this, and I think that I've just opened a big can of worms, and I'm kind of excited about it though. So I'll see you on the next blog post, guys. Bye.